I have a prophetic word from the Lord. This morning, as I was praying for the church, the Lord started showing me that this will increase in the year 2025. I saw the enemy chasing down God's people. I saw many people all over the world. The enemy was in a strong pursuit after them. Many were shot. I saw that many were wounded. I saw many were scattered. And as I was running, even for my own life and for my own safety, I was searching for a friend that got wounded in the crossfire, in the pursuit by the enemy. I found myself then in a hospital and I kept on praying, Father, please forgive us. Father, please forgive us. As I was crying, the tears were running down my face. You know, in a hospital, there are always emergency emergency workers, paramedics coming, entering and exiting the hospital with sick people coming in and out of the hospital. There are quite a lot of noise. There is blood all over, people with pain, people that are hurt. And what was so interesting when I was in this hospital, I did not see any of these things. There were no blood. There were no emergency sirens, noises, people in pain. Everything was just quiet and still. I was amazed at how this is so quiet in the hospital. And the Lord said to me, I am making my church a place of healing and restoration again. I understood that I was in the church of the Lord. I was in the sanctuary of God. A nurse passed by me as I was standing in the hospital, and she almost looked at me with a smile on her face. She wasn't frantic, she wasn't running, and the stillness was all over the place. There was no sound of anybody shouting for help of any sort. I was so amazed at how quiet it was, and I felt the peace in the place. As the nurse was walking, she looked so peacefully, like there was no worry. And Zechariah 8 verse 7 to 8 tells us, Thus says the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will save my people from the land of the east, and from the land of the west I will bring them back, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. They shall be my people, the Lord says, and I will be their God in truth and in righteousness. As I was sitting with this word, and the Lord gave me this revelation, and I was really laughing with joy when it hit me. As the enemy is pursuing God's people with so much intent, with a strong aggression, attempting to kill even God's people, he is chasing God's people straight into the arms of the Lord. Mighty God. He is so sovereign. I realized God is so clever. Ephesians 1 verse 11 tells us, In him also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will. God is almighty and God is sovereign. Even when the enemy thinks that he has 1 foot ahead of God, he's actually lagging behind because God has already overcome. In the midst of when we are feeling that the pursuit of the enemy is too strong for us, in the midst of when we're feeling overwhelmed, in the midst of when we are enduring persecution, suffering, and trials and tribulation, adversaries, it sometimes feels like you cannot bear it anymore. But in the midst of it all, God's perfect will and God's perfect plan is to bring his people back to the church. It was such a beautiful sight and a beautiful revelation when the Lord just sprung this upon me this morning, just realizing that God is really supernaturally God all by himself. His will, his perfect plan is even when the enemy is working according to God's purpose. The enemy is working according to God's will. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve, brothers and sisters. I would like to encourage you. I would like to encourage you. Don't give up. It may seem difficult at times. It may seem like you cannot bear it anymore. There are many that have even been hurt by the church. But even those, I just feel in my spirit, God is bringing all of us back to his place, back to his sanctuary, where he intends for us to end up. Isn't it beautiful? I hope this word encourages you as much as it did me. God bless you. Until next time, my name is Jackie.